Hello friends, this is Coldrun. Welcome back to the end of a blind playthrough of Elden Ring, where we've completed the game, at least most of it, as much as I'm going to do. And this is really just going to be a quick wrap-up video. I'm just going to take a little farewell look out at the lands between, and just wanted to, some final things I wanted to talk about before I close this out. Least favorite bosses, a couple of favorite zones, mysteries I want to learn more about, Let's Plays I plan to check out afterwards, and open for recommendations there on ones that you liked. And, yeah, what comes next for this channel? The next games. So, on D-Hat's suggestions, I'm here at the Divine Tower of Caelid. I'll hop over to Liurnia and Limgrave as well after this. But, yeah, just getting a little view around here. Yeah, everything burning up. There's the, oh boy, that was a pain in the butt. That series of mini bosses was so rough. The Colosseum, the the Great Pot. That is the Great Pot I'm looking at, right? Like that's the area, yeah. And we got the Bestial Sanctuary back there, where Malekith was doing his penance to, I guess, trying to atone for the sin of having let destined death slip. And it occurs to me that I think he was trying to eat the death root, like as a way to, because we know the death root only appeared after the rune of death was let slip. And so he was, I guess, trying to hoover it all up as best he could, or just eat his failure, that sort of thing. Yeah, that must have been part of Farum Azula that got left behind, I suppose. Or that he brought there, maybe. Probably that got left behind, because Farum Azula must have broken off from Caelid. And we could see Liurnia over there, the Divine Tower of Liurnia, Stormvale Castle, all the way over there. And just all these Erd trees dotting the place. And I have my, just as I see this, as I see minor Erd tree, minor Erd tree, minor Erd tree, minor, minor, I have to imagine the Elden Beast encounter's environment was like a vision of what they wanted the world to become, what the order, the force of order, which, you know, I guess the outer god of the two fingers, is that an outer god? I think it is, or the greater will. I don't know if the two fingers was an outer god. I don't think it was. I think it was just a representative of the outer god. I think it was envisioned. We were fighting in like its vision of everything perfect, like all these grown up. Probably not much left in the world, but pure golden order. The utter wreck and ruin of... What is that? Is that Redmane Castle? I guess it is. You could really see far from here. Yeah, we got Caol and Caelid and the Dragon Barrow. The Heart of Ionia right there. The Lake of Rot, or not the Lake of Rot, but the heart of the swamp, the heart of where the Scarlet Rot bloomed. I'll bet that spot in particular is where, like, the result of that chrysalis having grown up in, like, Caelid. Like when, of Melania having been pushed by Radahn to her limit, kind of erupted and flowered for the first time. And I'll bet this is an outgrowth of that. God, the giant heads. Big as a friggin' castle. Look at that thing. I know the perspective is different, but still. How many ages do you think came about? How many ages do you think were there in the world? Speaking of which, so a few... I'm going to go in a random order. A few mysteries that I'm most excited to check out. There's 3 specific ones that I've just been thinking about. Certainly not an exclusive list. 1. Who was Melina? I watched the Frenzied Flame ending. I saw her coming back like a zombie to hunt the Lord of the Frenzied Flame, and I don't know what that was about. Like, her burned eye was open, her I don't know if it's a tattoo or a burn. It might have been too pristine for a burn. Maybe it was just a tattoo. I don't know what relationship she had with Ronnie, because they both seem to have the same eye thing going on. Maybe it was just a burn thing. I don't know what was up with that milky eye now. I'm guessing she's like an acolyte, or she's someone who's like those who live in death, but I don't know. I really thought that she would end up being not more of a main character, but like I thought that we get a lot more from her, about her, than we did. Maybe we do in different playthroughs, like, because I pissed her off early with finding the 3 fingers. We're here at I moved to the Divine Tower of Liurnia, where, just looking out again, you can see sort of through the fog and smoke. I don't know how much more visible this was before the burning, but you can see across to Caelid. Liurnia, what a great zone Liurnia was. It was expansive. It just kept going. It was very long, but like it had so many different components to it, and I love the Academy. I appreciated it even more watching my friend Proustian doing her playthrough of it as a sorcerer, which felt more appropriate. Leading up to Gelmir, yeah, boy. Another mystery I'm excited to check into is what was up with the Age of Stars. I just keep thinking about it. Like, I'm pretty sure from all the descriptions that the cold dark moon was some sort of like outer god presence, given the way that the sorceries describe it. Yeah, the moon was encountered by a young Rani led by the hand of her mother Renala. Cold, dark, and veiled in occult mystery. Dispels sorcery. Which is really interesting. It's a sorcery that repulses sorcery. But like what the Age of Stars will entail, oddly enough, I'm brought to mind, there's a South Park episode of all things about like this ridiculous plot, as all of them are, about a rabbit being the true pope because the actual God didn't want to tell, God and Jesus didn't want to tell people how to live, so they just put a rabbit at the head of the church and let people do their own thing, like as a way to symbolize active silence, like intentional silence on that sort of thing. And that's kind of what I feel like. That's the vibe I get from the Age of Stars, that the Empyrean and her lord or her lady are just kind of going off and are just kind of going off and doing their own exploration and leaving the world without someone, for better or worse. And I think that's probably better than what exists, but probably more painful than Goldmask's Perfect Order. Yeah, another view of Stormvale here. And just that great topography. Yep. That Liurnian topography. And last one I'm visiting for now is just the Divine Tower of West Altus and its view of the burning tree. Even the sound design on it is great. Because up close the fire doesn't look especially good. It looks really grainy and rough, but like the sound of it. Yeah, the double wall of Lanedale is interesting. So the first wall was breached. The second wall was never breached. I wonder if the dragons breached it, or the giants breached the first wall, or the dragons breached the first wall, or if both. But I guess the second wall was breached. I mean, we saw friggin' Grand Sax, like, all up in there, so he must have breached it. Anyway, third mystery I'm excited to check out is Radagon. Radagon feels like an actually heroic character. It feels like, I mean, I'm not Christian, so I apologize if I'm misunderstanding any of these, the analogy, but like, it feels like not a trinity, a duality, like a holy duality where both Radagon and Marika are Marika. But he really did seem to be his own person until he got kind of yoinked back into her presence. Like, it sounded like he was being a champion. It sounded like he was doing good, like he was trying to do good, and I feel like Radagon was not the villain that Marika was, even if they ended up being the same person in the end. There are just so many favorite characters I have in this game. There's a lot of just great side NPCs. Not even side NPCs, but like core NPCs, like non-bosses. Ronnie, Millicent, Nefeli, but there weren't really any characters I disliked. I mean, Godfrey, or not Godfrey, Gideon. Gideon I certainly disliked, but I was meant to, so I don't count that in the same way. There weren't any characters here that just rubbed me the wrong way when I was meant to like them.
I see.
These two are, Roderica and Hugh are some of my favorites. They really are. They're just some, what did that say? Oh, the smithing master Hugh. Yeah, their relationship has been one of the delights to watch. Big fan of that. And I can't forget the man who gave me my prime weapon throughout the playthrough, Sorcerer Rogier, or Roger. He was just a great one. He was a lot of fun, and his peaceful ways, his diplomacy, his approach, his philosophy. Very big fan of Rogier. I keep calling him Rogier, of Roger. I think he pronounced it Roger. I like him a lot. For favorite zones in the game, this is an easy one. Miquella's Haligtree. I absolutely love this place. I love its difficulty spikes, how it wasn't consistently brutal, but there were like moments where it really was. There were sections. I love the layout, the visuals, even before the real burning now, like the autumnal vibe that the rot gives it. Got our friends paying attention to us. Just so much about this place is just gorgeous. The whole elven thing that they have going on, like just the sheer beauty of this place is really something. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. Mysteries I'm looking forward to finding out more about. What the hell is up with Saint Trina over there with Miquella. He's got to be the focus of the DLC, which I will be definitely playing whenever that comes out. I will, whenever that comes out, I will finish up whatever game I'm in the middle of. Like, I'll keep playing that until it wraps up. The Elden Ring DLC will be next after that, whenever that happens to be. Crumbling Farum Azula is a close second in some ways, but in some ways it's pretty awesome, but there's the color palette of this place beats out the color palette of the Haligtree, and the fact that it's in such great shape and not like a crumbling ruin it makes it stand out for me in a way that the Haligtree is just a half step below it, or that Farum Azula is just a half step below it, but they are pretty close for me. Don't really have a least favorite zone in this game. I mean, maybe the subterranean of beneath Lanedale. Like, the sewer was kind of a pain in the butt to navigate, and it was a sewer. What do you want? I didn't really like that, but it wasn't that much. Consecrated Snowfield, I'll bet is on a lot of people's hated lists. If I look up, if I Google I hate the Consecrated Snowfields, I'm sure that I'd find a lot of people raging about it. I kind of like this place. The snowblind mechanic didn't overstay its welcome for me. The lights gave you a clear path to deal with it. If there were no lights, I would hate it much more, but it gave me a clear path to navigate it the first time through. And even the music feels like something out of one of the Donkey Kong Country snow levels from Super Nintendo that I grew up on. And it has this air of mystery, like this air of anticipation. Maybe that's a better term for it. Anticipation, as you know that it's the prelude to the Haligtree. So I actually kind of like the snowfields. And I don't have a boss ranking or anything. It's so subjective for me, even like, and it varies from day to day what I think about. But I'll give the ones the major bosses. Maybe the major bosses all stood up to me. They were all theatrical. They were all dramatic. The sound design, the visuals of it, their phase transitions from as early as Godric shoving his fist into the dragon, to that whole, like, just the presentation of seeing all the grafted limbs. Radon has to win first prize for me for pure theatricality, or I'll say tied. Radon ties with Melania for me there. The lead up, the festival of combat that was built up. The how you got like the Jaren giving you the preview of like, let me set the table for you of what you're gonna face. The little friggin' scrawny horse, the meteor clock. Oh my god, this was so good. This was so good. I think Melania is probably my favorite visually because of something about that butterfly aesthetic just really works for me. Like the blossoming, like the blossoming flower thing, the fact that, and there's like a dichotomy about Melania's thing that I appreciate. They could have made her rotting and had everything like dying and decaying around her, but they didn't. They made her, one of the things that was attached to her as a vessel of the goddess of rot was, because she was just kind of hosting an outer god, I think. She was hosting the goddess of rot or communing with it, the one that was trapped below the Lake of Ash primarily, or the Lake of Rot primarily. That's my guess about what was happening there. But she was, like, the fact that they didn't have the butterflies, like, dying around her, that she was so full of life at the same time as she was rotting, that, again, that dichotomy really, that contradiction, just fit so well and made her such a unique feel. But everyone, Riker, the double thing, and the snake, and the face on the snake, and the second phase when he goes berserk and just starts blasting fire everywhere and opens the heavens up. Morgott was more understated, but I like the way that he turned the arena into, he was much lower key, weirdly enough, than a lot of the other bosses, but he was kind of a veiled monarch. But cracking the staff around the sword beneath, the way that his cursed blood was kind of erupting in the last phase and giving all this corrupted holy feel. And I can't say enough good things about Godfrey. That transition and the expectation shift in the Godfrey transition too. How I thought that the Godfrey fight was going to be, phase 1 Godfrey, phase 2 Sarash plus Godfrey, or maybe a middle phase where you're just fighting Sarash or he's riding Sarash or something. But no, he removes Sarash as the chains holding him back. He rips him apart and he goes full WWF wrestler on us. So good. So good. Just, beautiful. There were only 2 bosses that, mechanically at least, I didn't like that much. Visually, I love them both. Especially, less this one, but still this one. Moog, Lord of Blood. I did not like fighting him. Not just in a he's tough way, but it wasn't fun for me in this. It wasn't fun in nearly, and they're all good fights, but like, I just personally dislike the chaos of like just feeling like I'm getting splashed and constantly stunned whenever I went into the wrong area. I felt like, I think that was it. I felt like I was getting stun locked, and that was, I don't mind dying. I mean, I don't like dying, but like, I don't mind it. I don't like dying and feeling like I'm just stunned along the way though. I didn't enjoy that. The second phase in particular, how it just, again, splashing everywhere, splashing blood and fire everywhere. Not a huge fan. The only other boss I didn't really like mechanically was the Elden Beast. It felt like a dragon fight, like one of the like dragon Agil, like flying dragon Agil, but without torrent to help close the gap between segments or to help run. It feels like that fight would have been near perfect if I had access to torrent. Maybe they make some adjustments for balance or whatever, but without torrent, it felt like I was constantly just running after him. I'd get there, I'd get a few hits in, and then I have to run after him again. So yeah, not a huge fan of the Elden Beast mechanically, but God, the visuals on that fight. I don't even care as much about the mechanics now, having beat it. I'm sure there's things I could have done, and now I know I could have jumped over stuff. Yeah, there was a comment from Gordon9 specifically in the comments, said that you can jump over jump over attacks. And I just started watching one-shot plays Elden Ring, and they discovered this in the tutorial, and it just didn't occur to me that you could do that. I'll bet there are so many cool cases where you can like jump over an attack to dodge it and get like a jump attack in at the same time. I'll bet that's the case. Yep, I'll bet that was all. I'll bet you can. And for that Elden Beast fight especially, I'll bet I could have jumped over the rings easier than rolling through them. Mechanically, I really enjoy playing as a dex build, specifically as like a one-handed rapier build. I've always wanted to do that kind of fencer build, and it was a lot of fun. I didn't get a lot of posture breaks in, and I think that would have been pretty neat too. So I think I probably would have liked to do, like, if I continue in the DLC, I might try to do more heavy, more like use a shield less. I think that would be my intention, outside of really specialized circumstances, to dual wield daggers. But I kind of worry that dual wield dagger build would just not break posture ever. It might be nice for building up a couple of statuses, but I don't know if that's worth it. Last thing I wanted to say is really just about where we go from here. Again, I do plan to play the DLC on, record as a LP when that comes out. I don't know when it's coming out, and I don't know what it's about, but I'm excited to find out. That rhymed, all of it. No doubt. The next game coming here will be Tunic, which is a game I recorded already. Like, I completed it. I was doing it kind of for a friend, but I thought I'd make it public. So if anyone else wants to see Tunic, I'll start to release that next week. And after that, Resident Evil 2 and 3, which I have not played. I have played Resident Evil Blind on this channel just before Elden Ring, I think it was, and Resident Evil 1, and I'm looking forward to 2 and 3. I've already watched 7 and 8 like as Let's Plays that got me interested in the series, so I won't be playing those, but 2 and 3 and eventually 4 as well, I do plan to play, and then Final Fantasy 16, with Mass Effect 3 at some point afterwards. Those are kind of the next games on my horizon. Baldur's Gate 3 really interests me, but I'm probably going to do that like as just with friends, like as a shorter campaign rather, or not as a shorter campaign, just as a more of a private thing than as a Let's Play recording. So, yeah, that's going to be it for me for now. Thanks for watching all of this. Again, if you spent any time with me, if you're here now, if you're seeing this for the first time, any of it, it's all appreciated. Your comments, the humor you bring to it, the insight, the amount of like knowledge that you bring to some of these things, about whether it's the architecture, the lore, anything, I'm such a fan of. It really makes this a richer experience for me. And if you have Let's Plays you'd recommend that I check out, just like personally, like if you have Let's Plays of Elden Ring that you really like, especially if you have one where someone did a blind faith play, blind like their first Let's Play, their first time through the game, and it's faith, they're doing like a faith build, like a magic faith build, rather than just like a sword build with a couple of faith buffs, then let me know, because I'm especially interested in seeing that. I'm looking forward to watching one-shot plays there. I like them quite a lot. And I'm also looking forward to seeing Living Sun is another favorite Let's Player I like. I'll put a link to both of those down below, but yeah, those are the two ones I have immediately going for me as far as Let's Plays I want to watch that I've been holding off on. And I'm excited. So yeah, any recommendations you have? Any thoughts on these? What are your favorite bosses, least favorite zones, least favorite, mysteries that intrigue you most, all that sort of stuff? I'm just curious to see what y'all say. So yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you in Tunic, but if we don't, no harm done, no pressure to watch. If the game isn't your cup of tea, that's totally fine. I'm glad you rejoined me for this. See you.